Hello everybody, welcome to episode 50 of Show For You, where today we'll be going over something that is very important to me for this 50 milestone. We'll be going over God of War, Sons of Sparta. Now, this game, at launch, I had no clue it was coming, because it was a shadow drop. It wasn't really a shadow drop, it was just sudden. Like, it came out of nowhere. Like, there were no trailers, like, nothing, at least as far as I knew of. And, just dropped in, like, a couple of weeks. I was like, I gotta get this game eventually. And eventually I ended up picking it up, and I saw a bunch of, like, hate, not a bunch of hate, but, like, a lot of distaste towards it. And so I was ready to see what the game was about. So, as a brief preface, Sons of Sparta, it is not like your normal, God of War games. It's not like the Greek trilogy where you have your more hack and slash aspects, and it's not like your Norse trilogy with your action RPG aspects. It is a Metroidvania. Now, Metroidvanias are my favorite type of game, like of all time. I love Circle of the Moon, which we call it Symphony of the Night, Rondo of Blood. I love Hollow Knight, Silk Song, the Metroid games like Metroid Dread and stuff like that. So yeah, Metroidvanias are probably, I would say they are probably my favorite type of game of all time, because I just love the idea and the feeling of progression as you go throughout them, because each time you get a new item, you unlock new spaces and all that, and you can get more power-ups, and you slowly become bulkier and bulkier, and it's really fun to see, because then you go back to those starting areas where you were possibly struggling at the beginning, and then you're just blowing through them, and it's so much fun to see that progression. So, and I believe Metroidvanias are the type of video game where you can see the most progression with your character. And so, I was very excited to learn that they had made a Metroidvania God of War game, and I was not disappointed. So, I guess I was just trying to go over the story a little bit. I mean, the story's not really too in-depth. You are playing as Deimos and Kratos in their childhood. I mean, and it's not, I believe it's ever stated how old Kratos is at the time, but Deimos is 11, and Deimos is Kratos' younger brother. And you are tasked, well, you are not tasked with, but you and Deimos, or Kratos and Deimos, are looking for Vasilis, who is a Spartan boy who has disappeared from the area they're in. He's disappeared from Sparta. He's no longer with them. So you go throughout all of the lands looking for him and all that good stuff. And this leads to a bunch of misadventures, stuff like that, and it leads to a lot of characterization, because honestly, the main characterization of your characters doesn't really happen in the story. It happens at the campfires. So these campfires in God of War, Sons of Sparta, are essentially save points. They're kind of like bonfires in Dark Souls, or little save pods in Metroid. And these areas, you occasionally have areas where you can communicate with Deimos or other characters. Like there's this an elite Spartan class that, I can't remember exactly what the term for him was, but there's this elite Spartan class, and you occasionally find him at the campfires, and you can talk with him about duty and stuff like that. And yeah, but most of the characterization happens at these bonfires where Deimos and Kratos are talking. And throughout this, we see as they pursue Vasilis and all that, we see as Kratos starts off as searching for Vasilis to kind of be a futile search, because he believes that he is betraying Sparta by not focusing on his task and preparing to be in the Vanguard Circle. And we kind of continue to see this Kratos mindset throughout with Kratos himself, but we also get to see Brontis later on, who is a peer of Kratos's, and he has similar dreams as Kratos, but he does not go in search of Vasilis to save him like Kratos does. So he kind of starts to view Kratos as lowly in a way. But we see is that as we progress more and more along the search for Vasilis, each turn and adventure leading more to a dead end each time. And we see as Deimos, who is the most vehement about looking for Vasilis, because Amara, who is an Amazonian, asked him to do so, because he was attracted to her and he wanted to help her out. He wanted to make a good name for himself, to impress her. And we see as this just happens, and Deimos is really motivated at the beginning. He's like, go, 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 let's find Vasilis. And he's motivated for almost the entire thing. But then eventually we see as Deimos starts to break down a little bit more, because they just progressively becomes more and more hopeless, because they're just not finding Vasilis wherever they go. But however, as Kratos is more and more convinced by Deimos, he becomes more of Deimos' position and being like, yes, we need to find Vasilis. Because at one point, even the sculptor, who's like the leader, the headmaster of their little Spartan Academy and all that, is because Deimos and Kratos actually pushed their chores off to a character by the name of Ace, and Aeis, E-I-S. But they pushed him off on the Ace, and the sculptor was like, yo, you need to be here and do your chores, because you are neglecting your Spartan duty, and therefore you are harming Sparta. And So Kratos uses other monsters from the Spartans to justify his search for Vasilis, and they go out looking for Vasilis. Now, ultimately, once you reach the end of the game, Vasilis is dead. He was killed by the final boss, and I can't remember exactly what his name was, but it was like this big, like, bear, three-headed bear beast thing. It wasn't crap. What's his name? How did I forget it? Oh my gosh. Crap. It's not Charon. It's not a centaur. It's Cerberus. It wasn't Cerberus. But yeah, because I don't think you ever fight a Cerberus-esque beast. So yeah, it's just like this weird bear thing. And you end up saying that it killed Vasilis. And, Vasilis. And just throughout, it's kind of sucks because you see as Vasilis was kind of trying to run from his duty. Well, he was not trying to run from his duty, but he was trying to become better and useful to Sparta. Because Vasilis wasn't a good, warrior class. He was better at other things. Like we see as he goes through multiple stints, he goes from trying to learn how to cook, trying to learn how to sculpt, and eventually we see as he was trying to learn archery. And he was good at archery, and he wanted to learn it. But because Vasilis and Kratos actually have a connection because Vasilis actually looked up to Kratos, but Kratos neglected Vasilis while they were actually in academy and training and all that because he saw Vasilis as the weak link, so he put him in specifically unwinnable predicaments. And Vasilis failed in those predicaments because anyone would have, and it just made him look worse and worse while making Kratos be glorified and all that. So, which is really sucks because Vasilis is really a tragic character because all he was trying to do was just trying to make himself useful to the Spartan people by pursuing what he was best at and trying to find what he was best at, and once he did find it, he was ultimately killed, which was very tragic. But, yeah, that's really all the main story, but there's, like, so many little intricate things throughout, and, like, for instance, there's a lot of characters that aren't really integral to the story that you meet throughout that are very good characters, because you have Aias. Like I said, Aias, he's just a good Spartan kid. He's willing to help out Kratos and Deimos so that they can look for Vasilis and he can cover for them. But we also figure out that Aias is actually Atreus. Because, well, I forgot to tell you this at the beginning, but this story is being told. It is not we're not in the events, it's a story being told in retrospect, because Kratos is talking with Calliope because Calliope's in trouble, and she went to a brooding spot, and Kratos was already there, and he's sculpting a little, what was it? I can't remember exactly what he was carving, because they showed it at the end, but I don't remember exactly what it was. But he's carving something with a knife throughout the entire thing, and he's telling Calliope the story. And once we learn that Aias is actually Atreus, and we see, as Kratos talks about him, how glorious he was and all that, and how kind-hearted of an individual he was, it grabs you, because Calliope at one point says, "I wish I could have met Atreus," and we know that the Atreus in the Norse saga was obviously named after the Atreus that's being discussed here, and it's just really sad because we know that Calliope dies, and her saying that she wished she could meet Atreus, like, we do too, we wish you could have met Atreus, but yeah, that was just really sad, and like, that got me there for a second. That was one of the more emotional points in the story. I was like, dang, I wish you could have met Atreus too. But, yeah, and we got other good characters. Like, I believe Adrastea was probably one of my favorite characters in all of it. So, Adrastea is a character who you meet, like, midway through the game. She is a griffin who is imprisoned. And you're talking with her, and she's like, yeah, I was trying to defend my area and all that stuff. And you end up breaking her chains and freeing her. And then she comes to help you later on. She helps you, like, fast travel and all that. And she helps you fight a specific boss. And, yeah, so you just kind of go out with her, and eventually you learn that she was a woman. When she was a woman, before she got turned into a griffin, she was a protector of a young boy, and just kind of helped raise him up and all that good stuff. And that she was turned into a griffin by a vindictive force because she was raising that boy. And then eventually we see as Kratos and Deimos are kind of talking with her, and eventually they come to the realization that she was one of the people who helped raise Zeus. So that was really cool. But we know tragically he got turned into a griffin. But she is still alive and she's doing well, so I mean, that's not bad. And she doesn't want to be turned back into a human because she's like, I can do more in this form than without. But, and that's all of the really high points I have to say about the story itself. That's one thing. I believe that the reason why people hated on this game was because, it is a little buggy. There are quite a few bugs that I ran into. Like, I had to reset my save a couple times because it would just, I didn't have to reset my save, but I had to go back to a save point and close the game when I made a little bit of progress, which was kind of like just a hassle, but I mean, it wasn't bad. Like, the bugs are certainly manageable. And I know it's kind of disappointing to see bugs come from a AAA studio like Santa Monica, but like, it's fine, because the game is really fun to play. But like I said, the story, I believe people are disappointed because I believe they're going expecting a God of War, like blood rushing, head ripping off, like Doom level story, like in God of War, like the original Greek trilogy, or I mean even the Norse trilogy. I mean the Norse trilogy, honestly, it had more of those like heavy metal throwing down scenes. But Sons of Sparta, it's not meant to be that. It's meant to be a foundational story between Deimos and Kratos, and to show the development of Kratos as he grows as a person and as their relationship grows as brothers. It's not supposed to be some crazy, like, we're fighting gods, throwing down, ripping people's faces off stuff. It's supposed to be a foundational exposition. And then that's it. They did it flawlessly. I really enjoyed it, and it was good to see and all that. And, like, it's cool to see because we don't really ever see Kratos in that, like, goofy, childish era. We see him as rage-filled young adult, and then we see him as an older man who is matured and calmer. And we never get to see him as a goofy kid. Like, him and Deimos are always talking about flirting with girls at the campfire and stuff like that. And we actually see Kratos just kind of goof around a little bit. So it's fun to see. And we crack a couple of jokes and all that good stuff. And we learn how he hates music and all that. Yeah, it's just fun to see that. I mean, I believe that, like I said, people were probably disappointed because the story just wasn't what God of War usually has. But we can't expect that anymore because the story has ended, and we just can't expect that type of story anymore. But we can expect still quality stories, because I believe Son of Sparta most certainly had a quality story. But yeah, I guess I'll kind of get into the gameplay. Now, the gameplay, I loved it. It was so much fun. And, like, okay, so your main weapon in this is a spear. You have a spear, and you can adjust, you can go around and collect different tips, like staff portions, and different butts of your spear. And honestly, I didn't do too much customization with this because I found a really good one, because I ran a heavy stun build for my spear, and it worked really well for me, so I didn't do too much experimentation, but it was so much fun to work with, because like you get like brutal kills if you get a stun bar all the way by parrying and just using the stun attacks, because there is separate attacks, because if you hold R1 then you use stun attacks, and that does more stun but less damage, but if you don't hold R1 it does more damage but less stun. So that was actually kind of a cool thing. I don't believe I've ever really seen that in another Metroidvania, but yeah. So I ran a heavy stun attack build, and it was so much fun to do those brutal kills all the time. But yeah, and that's kind of like the main thing. You have your shield too, and your shield is used for parrying, blocking, etc. I mean, what shields do? I mean, there's not really an etc. to that. I don't know how I said it, but your shield, and you can adjust the rim of your shield for different effects. I ran ran a stun build, so I ran one of the rims that were for stun. Now the problem with the shield is that I don't really know why they had rims, because there's only like 4 rims in the game, but like with the other equipable items for like the spear and all that, there's a lot of options. But then if you didn't get enough customization with that, then you have your what's called belt and your gory. They are essentially runes, and they give you different powers. And like I said, I ran heavy stun, so I had multiple stun runes. I had like blood orb potency. I had that way up. I had 2 runes for that, or gory for that, and I can't remember what the other ones I ran were. But yeah, I loved this setup, because I mean it's very normal, but it was just fun to run it, and I loved building my own character and stuff like that. But yeah, so you have that, and when it comes to, I guess, items that you can collect to progress more throughout the world in the game, you have your godly blessings. So you have a temple of Apollo, Nike, Hestia, Demeter, Dionysus, and who am I forgetting? Artemis. So Dionysus ends up giving you the Ope of Wellness, and it is essentially a extra health bar, because once you get knocked down all the way, you can drink from the Ope, and it will give you more health. And you have to build it, though, by getting excess health orbs in it. So you have to have your meter full, and then you got to get health orbs to actually refill it. Then Nike gives you the sandals that allow you to do like the more normal traversal Metroidvania stuff, like dashing, jumping up high, double jumping, and all that good stuff. Then Apollo gives you the solar sling. The solar sling is a slingshot that can do a basic throw with a stone. It can do a barrage when you hit triangle, and with square it can do like a laser shot that's used for getting through little like barred areas, because you will run across those. And I didn't know this. I did not know about like the specific puzzle like moves for the the extra puzzle moves for these items, because these are predominantly used to solve puzzles, but they're also used for combat. Like the Artemis sword is phenomenal for combat. I use its laser with its triangle attack all the time. But yeah, so if you click square, that's usually used for puzzle solving. Like if you run into a area where it has like little spinning things that you shoot with Apollo's solar sling, if you run into that and it's fully barred, use square and it'll blast through it. And that's usually how it works. If you run to the doors, you use Hestia's branch to throw like a sticky bomb at it, and it'll burn those. If you run across a little blue orb that's hanging by chains, use Artemis's sword, use a square attack on it, and it'll knock it down. And if you run across any wilted flowers that would usually repel a vine down so you can climb, use the scythe of the sickles of Demeter and its square attack, and it'll do that. But yeah, that's a little tip because I couldn't really find that online, and eventually I figured it out. But yeah, so like I said, I guess I'll go back over. So I got to Apollo's sling. You have Dionysus. Okay, Demeter. Demeter has these little like sickles that are oscillating. You can throw them. The barrage attack, it releases a bunch of them. Then you have the square attack, which leaves one lingering one, and the normal attack just throws one and bounces it around and all that. It's used for like ricochet and stuff like that. Then you have Artemis's sword. Artemis's sword is very useful because, like I said, it has a power attack with the square attack. It has a normal attack, and then it has a laser attack. That laser attack is so good for AoE because, well, not really AoE, but like getting a lot of enemies at once. Because with the build I was running, my spear had my L1R1 ability was to just rush through and stab a bunch of them. So if I hit that and then hit an Artemis laser, it was obliterating enemies if there was a lot of them. So yeah, that build is really good for that. But yeah, so, and then you have, what's the final one? Oh yeah, Hestia's branch. Hestia's branch, it is really used for just burning stuff like burning brambles, burning doors, and raining down fire, which is its triangle attack. But yeah, so that's the main like weapon stuff of it. Now, when it comes to puzzle solving, this game actually was really good. I really enjoyed the puzzle solving because there were some instances where I was like, I don't know, I have no clue how to do this, but then I would eventually figure it out, and I was like, oh, that was a really creative way to solve that puzzle. So yeah, it has good puzzle solving, as all Metroidvanias do. And let's see, what else I forgot? Oh yes, the art. The art in this game is phenomenal. I wish more AAA studios would make 2D games like this. Like, no, not all the time. I just want less open world, honestly. I hate open world games now. I've had so many of them. But I just want more quality 2D games and less open world 3D games. Because these 2D games, the sprite work in Sons of Sparta is phenomenal. It is top tier. Like, it's on your levels of late SNES, GBA game level sprites. It's beautiful. And especially the backgrounds. The backgrounds of this game are gorgeous. They are utterly stunning. They're beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Like, I cannot think of any other word. Like, they're literally jaw-dropping. But, because, like, and almost every other room you go into has different background. And they're all beautiful. Like, it's phenomenal. But, yeah, so I guess I can really talk about difficulty next. Difficulty, this game is really easy, honestly. I played on normal because I didn't know how hard the hard mode would be. But, yeah, I would recommend playing on hard if you are used to Metroidvanias, because I went through on the normal mode, and it was really easy for me. Like, even the E4 challenges, which were supposed to be, like, the harder part of the game, they were really easy. So I would highly recommend playing this game on hard if you actually want a challenge. I didn't play it myself. If I do ever do a replay through, it will be on hard because it's just, like I said, it was really easy on normal. But, yeah, like I think the only thing I really struggled with was the boss fight, Alistair. And, like, legit, I beat the final boss first try. And the only E4 challenge I struggled with was Catastrophe, which, if you're having trouble with it, just go throughout and 100% the game, get all of, like, your items and stuff like that, then come back and face it, because then it's super easy. I legit did it first try after doing that. But, yeah, so with that, I guess I'll kind of speak about my favorite area. My favorite area was Onus's Vineyard. This is where you end up getting, like, Dionysus stuff, and this is where you go, it's like one of the third areas in the game. It's very early on, but it is sick looking. Like, it is a vineyard that has been overrun with wine and blood, and it's just like gore. It's not really gory, but it's like cool looking. And the main goal in this is you have to go around destroying these wells where you have to fight the blood skeletons. And eventually you end up going against Alistair, who was probably the boss I had the most difficulty with, but I loved Alistair. Alistair had a sick design, and I would say he's tied for first with my favorite boss, because there's another boss that comes pretty late on that I also really enjoyed. But, yeah, so Alistair was a phenomenal boss. It was really well designed. It was difficult until you learned the patterns of it, and then you had it down. But, yeah, that's one thing. Like I said, the bosses in this game were really easy, but I did like all of them. Besides the birds, I wasn't as big on those, because there's 3 different types of birds. You end up fighting like a normal bird, a fire bird, and a ice bird. And, like, I can't remember exactly what they're called. They're called, like, Scolopia or something like that. But yeah, so you end up fighting 3 of them, and this allows you to unlock areas in the sanctuary where you get little challenges, and those little challenges are pretty fun. So I do enjoy those boss fights because they unlock fun things. But yeah, like I said, Alistair is one of my favorites, and then I would say Iptone, I believe that's how you say his name was, the cultist boss battle, where they summon this big like bull thing with a head and hands, and you can only attack the head and hands. That was a fun boss battle, and I love the design of Iptone. So yeah, those are probably my 2 favorite bosses. But yeah, well, I guess extra content. There's a lot of fun extra content because you have your capture and conquest areas where you go through and you like usually there's like graveyard ones, there's Cyclops ones, there's cultist ones. The Cyclops ones are the most fun, but the cultist ones are also kind of cool. But yeah, I would say the Cyclops ones are probably the best when it comes to extra battles. But when it comes to actually extra battles, you do get to fight all 3 birds in one battle, and that's a really fun battle, even though it's really easy. And that's probably, I don't know if I'd say that's the best extra content, but it's still really enjoyable. But yeah, so I mean, because you have your conquest, you have your item collections, you have the E4s. The E4s are really fun, like I said. They're really easy, though, if you play it on normal. And the only one that took me quite a while was Catastrophe. But Catastrophe, once you get like leveled up enough and get enough power, it's a breeze. But yeah, that's, and what else do you have? You have those challenges that you have at the sanctuary. You can go around finding owls on the Assorted Islands, because you can actually go to Circe's Island, or not Circe's, but Circe. It's Circe. I know who I'm talking about. The woman who was on Odysseus. Well, Odysseus landed on this woman's island and turned his crew to pigs. But I'm just gonna say Circe. But Circe, you like Circe's Island, there's other random islands that you can access, usually through secret areas in mainline or main world maps. And you can go around finding owls, and these owls just give you like more extra like materials and stuff like that. And you can also collect the cat statues for Circe, because Circe, apparently some of Odysseus' men ended up turning Circe's cats to stone and hide them around Sparta. And so you can go around collecting those and bring them back to her so she can turn them back into normal cats. But yeah, that's all there really is extras-wise. It's a very short game. It only took me 31 hours to platinum it, so it wasn't bad. But like, I honestly like that time for a platinum, or like, I would say 30 to 60 is probably like the good time for a platinum. But yeah, like I said, that's all it really was about the extras. The music was really good. I love the music. The music was phenomenal, and it had that right stylized sound to it. And I was going to say something else. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, the Kerkopes. The Kerkopes are these little monkey dudes you meet early on, and they're not really integral to the story, but later on, if you are trying to figure out what you need to do to get the platinum or return the artifacts, you have to go to the Kerkopes and turn all of the artifacts in, because eventually they open up a shop pretty late on in the game, and you gotta go turn in all the artifacts to them. So they'll give you like your missing spear parts and all that, because you will be missing spear parts even if you collect everything, and they'll give you the spear parts. But yeah, that's, I believe, all I really have to say about Sons of Sparta. Like I said, it was a really enjoyable game. I don't get why people are hating on it, because I loved it. God of War is my favorite series of all time, but I really loved it. I love to get to see more of Deimos, because we didn't really get to see like too much of early Deimos, because Deimos was either in I don't know I don't think he was in Ascension. He might have been in Ascension. I don't remember. He was either in Ascension, Sons of Sparta, or Chains of Olympus. Because I have those. I haven't played them yet, though. I played all the other ones. Haven't played those 3 yet. So I need to get to those eventually to see which one Deimos was actually in. But we actually did get to see Deimos as an adult. And I know him and Kratos actually fight in one of the games. Like I said, one of those 3. But yeah, honestly, if I were to rate this game, I would probably give it, I'd say a 7 out of 10. It's not perfect. It's not outstanding. It's not a game of the year. But it was still really, really good. Like, I hope that it gets at least one award at the Game Awards this year, because it was really good. It was really solid, and it deserves its respect. It deserves its place. It is a good, like, prequel side game kind of thing. It's a good derivation from the norm, and so I really enjoyed it. Yeah, like I said, that's all I really have to say about God of War, Sons of Sparta, and all there really is for this milestone of Shelf Review episode 50. Goodness, I'm about stuttered there. But yeah, thank you so much for watching.